Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel and this week's Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. And before I do that, I am going to show you the great event. This is the first ever month-to-month virtual album retreat that Stampin' Up has ever done that I believe. I mean, we've done other virtual events, but I think this is the first one that was scrapbooking. And so I want to show that first before I do my Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Diana, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. So yeah, so I'm going to show you those pages, and then we'll do our Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. So this will be a little bit longer because we will do two projects. Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. I'm going to do case a Stampin' Up project, and this is from the Prairie Grass. This was requested from a Lori, and so this is an online. I believe it's an online exclusive. I'm like so mixed up with what's in the catalog, what's online, but that's where I got the sample anyways. And so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do a twist on it. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the scrapbook pages. So close your eyes just for a second while I get my camera adjusted. And I'm going to have to raise it up a bit because this is a 12 by 12 album, and they're 2-page spreads, so I'll probably have to raise my camera up. All right, so close your eyes. Okay, this might be hard to show because my camera only goes so high up, so we'll see how this goes. But for the month-to-month virtual album retreat, now you can still get these till they run out, so you can get them in my store. The live is done, but there's still the Facebook group, so you can still make your projects just like I did. There just won't be live, so if you have a question, they're not there to answer, but you can speed it up, you can pause it, and that's in the private Facebook group. But eventually there will be a YouTube link, and that's for the people that are registered. So you got these stamp sets. Now I put them in the cases because they didn't come in the case. So it's actually 4 different stamp sets, but I just put them, 2 per case, and you'll use those to make your projects, and they are really fun. Some great fonts, some great little images. Alright, so you got those. Now I also purchased an album separately because that's not included in it. You get the page protectors and all the goodies and stuff. There's some twine, there's some embellishments. I'm trying to think what else there was in there. But so I'm just going to show you the pages. So like I said, this might be a little hard to do, so I'm just going to kind of adjust myself here, and if you can't see the whole thing, that's probably going to be okay. All right, so let me get myself adjusted. Okay, so I have myself kind of situated here, and I have a little bit of the light is reflecting, so my desk is not set up for 12 by 12 pages showing the double view, that's for sure. But this will give you a good enough idea of how amazing the day was. So everything you see here and on the pages was included. I just had to use my own ink, my own adhesives. Let's see what else. I used a punch here and there, but but there was just so much. So and I haven't scrapbooked in years, so this makes me want to. I think I own all of the scrapbook workshop kits because they look so cool. And now hopefully I'll actually put them together. All right, so here is a January spread. Now, if you are a scrapbooker that scrapbooks different, you didn't have to follow along. Like there was, I think a couple of them I changed a little bit. and you can totally do that. And so we got the month, so this is the January, and then so they give you the photo placeholders. So what I'll do because I'm gonna have this be like a 2026 scrapbook, so I will be ready for 2026, and it's and then I'll just kind of know, like, well, in January I'll take, you know, some pictures and I'll scrapbook them, because I don't want to go back, you know, so I'll be all ready to go. But and instead of removing these, I will just either trim my photo at 3x4, then I'll just glue it right on top of that white, or I'll cut it a smidge smaller, so then you'll have a little white border around the picture. But so anyway, so here's January. We did some ink blending and stamping, and here's some of the little embellishments. And I even learned how to use like flip-flops or flip-flaps or whatever in your pages, as well as modifying your scrapbook pages. So this page right here has a pocket, and then what you do is you just slice your scrapbook page, and then you can have access. So you'll put a photo in here, or maybe you'll have your journaling there, and then I'll just put another little piece of paper there, and then you can pull your photos out, and then you have access to them without having to remove your page. And I have never done that before, so that was pretty cool. The first time you take that first slice, you're like, oh, I don't know, but it's very, very cool. So there's January. Now February, we did February 1st because we didn't do them in the order of the month. Like, we did February, and then we went to a different month and stuff. We didn't do them January, February, March, etc. But look how cute February is, and you've got all your little hearts on there. Now this one is also supposed to be a cutout, and I did do it on one, and then I ended up putting it in a plain one, and then I'll decide if I'm going to cut that out. So it is still in there, that this little heart will open. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make that be a pop out or not, because it is cute even if you don't. But so look how cute this is with the and then I didn't get mine lined up perfectly. You see, I think this way is lined up good. Well, maybe it isn't either. Because see, I think this was supposed to, so I don't know. I was off somehow probably. But it still is adorable, this little layout. And then we have March. And I don't think there's nothing that pops out on here. But look how cute. And the little ink blending behind the months looks so adorable. But it was so fun. So the every little page has its own kind of layout and style. So this is kind of quilt-like, but it was so fun. And then this is like bullet scrapbooking, and it's kind of to me it was like when you look through a magazine. You know, when you're looking through a magazine, it'll say one, and then you know to look at one, and it'll describe what's in that photo. So this is kind of what this reminds me of. And then we just put our little one, and then we'll journal what's going there. And then there's two, etc., etc. So that was fun. And then April, I don't have any pop-outs in April. And then April's my birthday month, so we'll have to do something fun to scrapbook in April. But I love how it has the clouds, right? Like April showers, bring May flowers kind of thing. But I loved all the banners, and some of the greetings are so cute. And I love the fonts that came with this. And it had numbers, big letters, little letters. It even has these little like quotation marks or whatever they are that go with the different languages. But so fun. And then we have our little, embellishments again. And then we have May. And this one even uses some of that resist paper. So see that back there? You can see those sun rays. And that's like a resist, see it's embossed. And then you blend on it and then rub it off. And then that shows better. And there are several pages in the catalog that do that. So then we have our highlights page. So I will be totally ready for 2026. And then here are the flip flaps. So this is June. So here is this little flip flap here. So there'll be a photo here. I can put one here and here, or I can have journaling here or a journaling here, whatever. But you can access more photos through the scrapbook page. So it's really, really fun. And then here's this one too. This is like a double flip flop. And you can get those flip flaps in my store, and they come different sizes. So this is really, really cute. And then this is a pocket. So it's just really fun. April. So I did May. All right, June. And then we have July. I just feel, because I can't remember which all had, but once I started, I'm like, oh, I can put a flip flap there. Oh, I could do a flip flap there, because it's pretty cool. All right, so this is July. So this is like a 4th of July kind of theme to it. And then we have August, and then I just did a flip flap up here on the top. So you could, do one of each if you want, and then I changed this layout a little bit. Let's see, what other layout did I change? I changed this one too, because they had this identical. So they had this one flipped, and I wanted them to be like that instead of just mirroring or whatever, like identical. So I changed mine a little bit. Same with this one. I changed this one a little bit too. They had, let me get my page. I'm hung up somewhere. They had some strings for their bulleting, and I didn't want to do that, so I just changed it. And I got a D-ring album, because I find it easier to go in and mix and match the pages. You can get post-bound as well, so it depends on what you like, but I just find it easier to put pages in. Like I might find something, oh, I want to add, and then it's easier to add. But I did put a flip flap here, and then I will add some numbers or something when I know what I'm going to journal, and then I will just journal my things there. And this uses some of that paper again that you blend on and then rub it away. It's just so cool. And then this was fun. I had never done a shadow box or whatever before. So you've got your little flap, so you cut your flap, and now you're able to get to the little fold out box. So you can put your photos. You've got journaling or more photos could go there. These all pop out, so you can write about what's going on here. You can journal there. More photos. It's just really fun, this little box in the middle of a scrapbook page. So very, very cool. In September, like I said, you got all your months. And then October was really neat that you have these little things. Now, if you decide, you want to put something to pull out, it's easy. You just, you'll cut your little thing, like there's a trick to it, and then you can slide them in just like we did before. So, and then there's November. So this one was fun because we have several pockets. So now this eventually I'll put maybe I'll put the year on here. I'll stamp something on there, but I can get to this pocket because there's a little slice in the page. I can get to this pocket, and I can get to this pocket as well, but yet your photos are protected. This also uses some more of that resist paper. So see that back there? It's so beautiful. So this is really cool. And then the last month was December, which is really, really fun too. There we go. I keep messing with my pages. There we go. So this is really fun. Like Christmas, I think no matter what religion you are, where you live, with Christmas, I mean, I could be saying something wrong. I hope I'm not, but I think we take a lot of pictures, you know, at Christmas time. But I just love the colors on here. And this also is, you know, there's a little slice here, so you can have access to this here, this here envelope. So you can get to this, you can get to this. So that could be a photo, you could be journaling, whatever. And it was just so much fun. And then I put a little flip flop there, and then that's the last page. Oh, hang on a minute. Pulled that out. All right. And then these are the months. So I just kept this because I thought, you know what? It's a real heavy feeling stuff. Like it's kind of hefty set. And I thought it'd be fun. I could use these maybe like as a stencil or something. So I just hung on to it. And then I just have a whole bunch of extra pages in there because I bought my album. I bought extra pages. I have a whole other album because now that I've done this, oh my gosh, like I said, I want to do those scrapbook workshop kits because like they're so cool too. But this one I think is a little bit different because these were all ready to go. Like all your strips were cut. You know, you got punch outs to do stuff. You didn't have to do a whole lot. Like when we did that that fold out box one, we did have to score and make the box, but it wasn't hard at all. So but the paper was all there. But anyway, so I am really excited to get some pages into that next year, so I will be good. But I will definitely come back and do some of the scrapbook workshop kits on my channel so that you can also, you know, see how they are too. All right, so I'm going to just put this away and then we will get to our Mimeograph Monday with a twist. So we're going to use Prairie Grass today. And this is such a really fun set because it's like a silhouette, right? And it's got some really nice greetings. All right. So I'm also going to be using the stylish shaped dies. We're going to use Petunia Pop ink, Stays on ink. Now this is the permanent black. I'm also going to use Daffodil Delight, Bubble Bath, and Balmy Blue, but I'm just going to use them. I have a little paint palette, and I have just squirted some refill in there, and I'm going to use it that way. All right. All this stuff going on here. Oh. Okay, so we have, now I'm also going to use watercolor paper because we're going to do a little bit of watercoloring. Okay, so I'm going to use watercolor paper, which is right here. My card base is basic white thick. I have some Bubble Bath because I'm using Bubble Bath ink. And then here's my little Stylish Shapes circle. So to get started, I'm just going to have my little silicone here. It's just going to keep my grid sheet dry. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little wash. Now I just have some water in a cup over here with a paintbrush. And then like I said, I have my little ink drops in here. And I'm just going to dilute it a little bit. And then I have like a paintbrush over here. And then of course my handy dandy little makeup. Just to make sure my paintbrush is. Now I'm using paintbrushes. If you have the water painting, you could use those, but we don't have the water painters anymore. So I've just been using paintbrushes. And I have these actually, if you like these, I really like these because they have like a natural brush. I do have a link to them in my favorite things. If you go to my blog over here, on the very top, my favorite things, you can find those there. And that's what I'm going to use today. But if you have the water painters or the aqua pens, whatever, you can use those. All right, so I just have the watercolor paper. Now I'm going to take the water brush that I have over here, and I'm just going to put water on here. And that's just going to let me bring over my balmy blue. So I have some balmy blue in here. And what it does is it pulls that balmy blue into the water. So this is like a wet watercoloring instead of dry. And then I want to, you can air dry it, but to speed up for the video, I'm going to use my heat gun to dry it. Because you don't want to add another color, or it's going to pull that color into that water. So you want to make sure you dry this first. Just like, you know, when I added that water on there and it pulled that color all through there, all beautiful like, it would do the same thing. Because now I want to do yellow, and yellow and blue make green, and I want to keep these colors just to be their regular color. So I'm going to heat a little bit on the back as well. But if you're just doing this on your own, you could simply just let it air dry. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my brush just in water. I'm going to take a little bit off so it's not super wet. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a little water. And I'm just going to go into that water with my same brush and just make sure it's clean. And then I will go into my yellow. And that's daffodil. And see how that water, that color just follows that water around. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. I'll heat that up to dry it. You just want to be really cautious with your heat gun where you're pointing it, because it gets really hot. And you don't want to melt or burn anything, so I'm just kind of keeping it up here so it's not burning my table or melting my silicone mat or my camera. Just be really cautious with it. And when you are done with your heat gun, unplug it. Even if you're not done, even if you're just going to go, you're not done, crafting, but you're going to go have lunch or something, just unplug it anyways. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just clean my little brush in that same water. Now you could have, a clean water container and a dirty water container. But for this one card, I'm just using the same one. But if you were going to make a whole bunch, I would definitely have a clean and a dirty, because, it's getting a little bit of different colors in it. All right, but just for one card, we're fine. All right. So, and then I'm going to do the same thing, a little bit of water. And now we're going to use the bubble bath. And I just love how it travels along and creeps into that water. Okay, and again, heat that up. And it looks a lot paler on the camera than it does in real life. And it doesn't take super long for it to dry with the heat gun. And by doing the heat gun also, you know what color it's going to be. Like if you let it air dry, sometimes it can move a little bit and change the color a tad. But this just, you know what color you're going to get. All right. So that should be good and dry. Feels good and dry. And then I'm going to use Stays On. Stays On stamps a little better on the watercolor paper. And it's also waterproof or whatever. So that's what I'm going to use. So I have my big leaf, whatever this is. I just love this, whatever that is. It's some sort of wheat, a weed, who knows? Jeff might know. But anyway, so I'm just going to put that on here. So I have my Stays On. Now I made sure it was good and juicy. Stays On pad looks like a memento pad, but it is totally different ink. So you want to keep that little plastic protector in there. So this is just inking on here, and I'm going this way so I can see if I'm getting good ink. Plus, it's also going to show me if I get any ink where I don't want it to be, because I'm going to have to push pretty hard on the watercolor paper because there's a texture to it. It's not a smooth paper. So you have to kind of push hard, and that's why you want a nice juicy pad too. And then we go, please be good. Oh, looks amazing. All right, so I'm gonna set that aside and let it dry just a little bit. And then I have my little circle. And now I have all this water on my desk. I'm like, don't spill it. All right, so we have our little circle, and I'm just gonna use the Petunia Pop, because I'm also gonna use some Petunia Pop ribbon. So we have, and now this is the sample that Stampin' Up did that I'm casing, and then we will do my twist. So sending the healing power of love. Isn't that such a pretty greeting? And then we have our basic white thick for my card base. My bone folder. Okay. And then this is going to kind of go on cattywampus. So I need my green tip glue. So this is just Bubble Bath. Since I used Bubble Bath on my ink, I wanted to also use it on my cardstock. So this just kind of goes crooked like that. And then we have our card, and this I'm going to put on with glue dots, and I'm like looking all over for my glue dots. Here they are. I dropped them so they all went spilling out, so I had this whole long string. So we're going to just put some glue dots. So it'll have a little dimension, but not tons. Okay. I should just pull all those in. They'll be stuck all over the place. All right, so here we have this, and then this goes the opposite way. So the Bubble Bath went this way, the watercolor paper goes that way. But look at those really fun watercolory colors in there. And then we have our Sending the Healing Power of Love. And I'm going to use, this is the Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon. And it has this really pretty iridescent look to it. And I'm just going to kind of fold it in half. And cut. And I can figure out if that's the right length after. All right, so I have my Sending the Healing Power of Love. So I'm going to put dimensional here, here, and here. Now I'm only going to take the adhesive off that one for now because I want it to grab hold of my ribbon. So I'm just going to lay my ribbon like that. And I just kind of want that to grab that ribbon. There we go. And then I can put it on the card. So then I'll pull the backings off these two. And stick it on the card. And then I can trim my tails. And then we also have some bling. And the bling is the low profile sparkle dots. And my pick tool, which I have put somewhere. Good golly. Is this it? Here it is. Right where I'm supposed to keep it. All right, so I'm just going to take one of these. These ones are really low profile. So to me, they're a little harder to pick up. There we go. One. And then I want a bigger one. I'll bend the plastic. That's easier. And this one's kind of underneath a little bit on there. And then I'll grab another small one. And he goes over here. So this is the Stampin' Up! Version. And I love how easy that was. And I didn't put anything on the inside, but isn't that just so beautiful? All right, so now let's do my twist card. Twist, I'm still using Prairie Grass, but I haven't used my Darling Dino set for a while, so I thought, you know what, this would be perfect set because these little grasses are great to make a scene. So I'm going to use my bundle, so I'll use the stamp set as well as the die. And I'm also going to pull in some daffodil cardstock. I'm still using watercolor paper. I'm going to use some basic white, some bubble bath, and then my card base will be that basic white thick. So I want to get started first with our watercoloring. So it's going to be really similar, but I'm going to just do sky and grass. So I'm going to use the lemon lime twist as well. So I'm just going to start like I did the other one, where I'm just going to come up to my sky and add my blue. And I'm just going to let it do what it wants to do. I do need to add a little bit more down here because we have our grass going to be happening down on the bottom. So I want to make sure my sky comes down into the grass. So I kind of like that look. So I'll bring my heat gun over and we'll dry it. Get my on switch. And you can see that water will move around and kind of puddle. So if you just use your heat gun, it will dry and you'll get some variations in color. But I like this real watercolory fluid look. It really looks like a sky, like how there's clouds in there. I really wet it this time. But it doesn't take too long. I just don't want to cook my silicone mat. All right. So that sky looks really cool, right? Dropping my heat gun. All right. Now let's add our grass. So I'm going to do the same thing. Take our water, and I'm going to go up into the blue. So it'll kind of go up into there just a little bit. All right. Now it's important that you do not leave your brushes sitting in the water. And then I always go and wash them in the sink, make sure they're going to dry. So I'm just doing it quickly here. I'll do them better once I'm done. All right, so let's heat that up. Then I can turn my heat gun off. I love watching the water and the color move as it dries. And like I said, if you're not in a hurry, you can just let it air dry. So if you're doing like a whole bunch, that's perfect, because then you can do like a whole bunch and you set one aside, grab another one, and then just kind of do it as an assembly line. Again, I really put a lot of water on that. And then I usually just kind of do the back side as well. So we've got some really cool looks right there. Almost looks like a hill. All right, so that's good. Okay, now while I have my my watercolor out, I'm going to do a couple other little things here. All right, because I'm going to let that dry a little bit more. So I have I'm going to pretend this is a sun. So I'm going to stamp one of the other greetings on here with the stays on. And this is the "You're Not Alone, I'm Here for You." And I'm going to stamp it up towards the top. And we'll let that dry. And then I have a piece of basic white that's going to go on the inside of the card. So I also want to do this greeting that we used before, sending the healing power of love. I want to put that on the inside of the card. And I want to use, there's like this grass. So I'm going to put the grass on the inside, and it's important to keep this lid on because the stays on pad dries out pretty quick. So whenever you order the stays on, if you're new to stays on, just get that refill at the same time. All right, so I'm going to let that dry, but I am going to watercolor it, but this is basic white. So it's going to take the watercolor different than the watercolor paper. You have to be really careful. You don't want to oversaturate it, and I'll show you that once that's good and dry. All right, so I think this is dry enough. So I'm just going to add some. We have, I think these are like cattails. So I'm going to put some of those on the card. So we're just going to put them over here. And I'm going to put some over here. And then I'm going to fill in with this grass that I used on the inside. Just so we've got a bunch of stuff going on in the background. And I'm not going to color this. This is just basically background atmosphere or whatever. Okay, so I'll let that sit aside. And then let me color these real quick. And then we can color our dinosaurs. Our T-Bone and our Tracy I've used for this card. All right, so I'm just going to use my watercolor brush. And I'm just going to add a little lemon lime twist. And I'm just going to go directly to the paper really, really quick. And that's it. Because you do not want to oversaturate that paper. Because it's not watercolor paper. So the water like really, really soaks in. Like soaks in. All right, let me unplug my heat gun. All right. I have it on like a plug that I can just turn the plug off. It's dead, but I don't trust myself. So I always unplug it. All right, so that just adds a little bit of green on the inside. We'll let that dry. All right, let's bring T-Bone and Tracy over. And I stamped these with Memento, and I die cut them out because I'm just going to color them with the blends. So I'm not going to watercolor them. I mean, I could, but I want to be a little more detailed, and I find I can be a little more detailed with the blends than for the watercoloring on my little set. All right, so let's see here. Let's start to color our T-Bone. All right, so this is dark gray granite. We're just going to have these, because you could have a dinosaur on any card. So this is just kind of like a thinking about you card, right? And they just look adorable on it. That's what I love about my set, because it's just any age set. It's not just for kids. All right, and then I'm going to put dark gray granite over here. As well. And on our little tootsies. Okay. And then we'll take the light gray granite. Oops, wrong side. Light gray granite. And color it in. And then we will go in and add a little smoky slate here and there to add a little texture. So did you get my darling dinos yet? I hope so. I had I think 55 people took my class, so that made me feel good. But it's not in the main catalog. It's only on the online store. So if you're looking for it, that's where you'll find it. So if you just go into the search bar and then just put Darling Dinos, it will come up. And I'm hoping it will stick around long and, a while. I'm still seeing a lot of people use it. So that's a good sign. Okay. And then I'm going to take dark smoky slate, and I'm just going to add some little speckles here and there. And that's just going to give a little bit of texture, because, you know, dinosaur skin is rough. So this just adds a little texture. And my dark. We don't want to make it look like he's got the measles though, right? Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's see here. Dark granny. I keep opening the wrong side. Dark granny. So tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays, I have the paper pumpkin, so I'm going to play with that. And if there's ever anything you want me to show, always let me know. So Lori is the one that said, oh, could you do something with the Prairie stamp set? And I had it, so I said, sure, because I hadn't, I hadn't played with it. So I can't do all of them because I don't have all the sets. All right, and I'm also going to put some granny over here. And I'm just going to keep her horns one color. Okay. And then the lemon lime. So we had a little bit of an overcast day. Jeff and I went and got barbecue for lunch, and it even spit a little bit on the way home. And I kept telling him, I says, I think it's going to rain today. And he's like, no. And sure enough, it spit a little bit. All right, so this is just light bubble bath because I have bubble bath on my cardstock. So I just wanted to bring that into the card a little bit. As well as my lemon lime. This is the light bubble bath. Okay. And then I will do a dark bubble bath. And then I have my light flirty flamingo. So I'm going to put some little speckles on Tracy as well. And I'm going to put flirty flamingo cheek on T-Bone because she's already pink. So, I mean, I could put one, but it won't be as noticeable, as it would be on T-Bone. All right. I also want to put a little kissy lips on T-Bone. So I'm just going to use Poppy Parade off to the side here. I inked that up. And we'll just put our little kissy lips on our T-bone. All right, so let's bring our card. So this should be good and dry now. So let's bring our pieces over. So we have our basic white thick. And while I'm gluing this, I want to take my You're Not Alone with my paintbrush and my daffodil. And I'm just going to paint. It's just going to get a little lighter. It goes in the center. So I'm barely touching it in the center, and we'll let that dry. Forgot I wanted to do that. So it shouldn't take too long. I've already unplugged my heat gun. We'll just hold it down in front of the fan. Now the fan isn't as good as the heat gun, but it'll do in a pinch. All right, so we'll let that dry. Alrighty, so let's bring this over. So we have this for the inside. Okay. And then I'm going to put this on my bubble bath. And I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. Although the more it dries, the flatter it gets. And one thing I learned from the virtual scrapbook event. So one of the ladies that Karen, she demonstrated one of the classes. She loves dimensionals. I mean, she was like practically putting them all over the back. But, and I don't even know why I never thought about it. She's like, you don't have to take the backings off them. So like if I put, like I don't want my center to sag, right? I want this not to sag. Because sometimes, you know, like depending on what you're doing, it can get heavy in the center. And she's like, but you don't have to take the backs off these. You just have to take the backs off the edge pieces. Because basically, all these are doing is stopping the center from sagging. They don't have to be stuck on there because the edges are stuck. That just keeps it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Can you imagine how many less these things will be all over the house if you're only like taking the backs off half of them? Oh my gosh. I was like, what in the heck? All right. So, and then I'll put this on the card. And I'm just going to use my green tip glue. Okay. But I thought that was so cool. Because dimensionals are fun. All right. So there we have that. And then I have my sun. So it's still a little damp, but I think it'll be okay. So I want to put my sun there. But see how just putting that around there, it gives that sun, it kind of looks like, boy, it's hot out, right? Like it's really, really hot out. And that was just simply daffodil, you know, around the edges. Now keep in mind, you need to do that with Stays On, because if you did it with Memento, it would smear, right? Because the Stays On is permanent. It's a permanent ink. It's like a Sharpie marker. So that's why I used the Stays On. But keep in mind, you want to keep that lid on there because it dries fast. So you always want to keep the lid on there, keep that little plastic thing in there I showed you, get it, refill at the same time, just because it dries easy. So, all right, so I'm going to put some dimensionals. And I just kind of wanted this to look like the sun, but also, oops, I got one stuck in there. Hang on a second. my backing went on there. And it's funny, if you flip them, then the backing sticks to the dimensional. All right. I just wanted to have the greeting on something that was, I couldn't mess up. Or if I messed it up, I could do another one. Because I was afraid to stamp it on here if I messed it up, because then I would be like, oh no, now I have to do it all over again. So I was like, oh, if I do it on a piece of daffodil that looks like a sun, if I mess it up, I'll just cut another one. All right, so we're gonna put this in the center. That looks kind of like the center. And that's why I stamped it up towards the top, because T-Bone and Tracy, they're gonna come down here and like overlap it so that it's like the sun is behind them. All right, but their heads are going to rest on the sun, so I just need to put my dimensionals down on the bottom. There. That way they're not going to be crooked, right? All right. So we have T-bone. And you just want to make sure you put them, because you still want to be able to read what it's saying. But see, their heads just rest on the sun. And then Tracy's going to go here. So see? Isn't that so cute? And then I didn't put any bling or anything on this one. I mean, you could, but I don't really think it needed any bling. So, all right. So here is Stampin' Up's version. Using that watercolor wash, the black kind of silhouette look, the circle. I did put some bling and ribbon. And then here, I just switched the orientation of the card. I still used that Stylish Shapes die. I just used a different size, but I still did the watercolor wash. I love how that turned out. And no matter what you do, so here is one I did earlier, and then I reversed the sun. So what I did was I put the dark on the inside and let it be lighter on the outside. So it kind of gives you, you know, a different look. And then here's the other one. So I don't think you could make an identical one if you tried, right? Just because that, you know, you add that water and that ink just flows where it wants to go. But I love doing that. All right, so I will say, see you later, alligator. I will see you tomorrow for the paper pumpkin. Ooh, it looks so cool. It's sweeter with you. And look it. It's so cute. I haven't done it. I'm just looking at the pictures. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays. And that'll be at 3 o'clock Arizona time, same channel. So I will see you tomorrow. And Lori, thank you for asking me to do this. Like I said, if there's, you know, if anyone ever wants me to do, you know, a certain stamp set or whatever, just let me know and I'll try to do it. All right, so I'm going to say see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now.